is a fixable situation. You know, I'm not sure there's a product on earth that can help this girl. And he's not even realizing it because he's talking and he's paying attention to the front row, and there's literally just hairs coming off like she had been rolling around with a Persian cat. Okay? So at this point he kind of looks down and he realizes that his hand is in like frog fur. And he's just like, okay. And he was like, honey, what happened to your hair? Because none of us had ever seen damage quite this bad before. And I've seen bad damage. This was unreasonable. So we give her one of the handheld microphones, and she was the cutest little thing ever. She was in hair school. Okay? I know everyone's like, oh, I've been there. I know what that's like. When you're in hair school, you use each other as guinea pigs, right? Y'all aren't going to believe the story at all. I promise you I couldn't make this up. So she said, well, give me a little history on your hair. Like, what's going on? And she said, well, I don't know, like, 6 months ago, I went like really blonde. I went like platinum. And I didn't really like it because it kind of washed me out. And so we just took it like way dark, like super dark. And I'm like, what level dark? 2. They did a level 2 over the top of platinum blonde. So it turned mud because they didn't fill it, because they didn't know you had to fill it. Okay, so it turned out this really hideous, like kind of greenish tone. So she ends up this green, which obviously she doesn't want to be green. And so she's like, okay, well maybe like the dark just wasn't my thing. So I'm gonna just like put some warmth in there. Let's go for red. So they use, I swear to you guys, I couldn't make this up if I tried. It's gonna get so much worse. So then she said they didn't realize that like what they needed to do to correct this color. So the first thing they went to is like, we need to remove the color that's in the hair now. Now I'll give them props for this. They at least tried a color remover before they tried bleach, but it didn't work. So they went to bleach. Okay. So she had a color remover, then she got bleached, and then they went right over the top of that with a red. Well, red faded miraculously fast on that textured hair because of all the damage done, right? So when it faded to a lovely shade of peach or mauve, whatever you want to call, like beautiful, off, strange color, you know, she was just like, oh my God, I'm just going to go like that medium brown again. So they tried to go like a honey brown. So she was like a mud honey. Now at this point, she's like a muddy honey. No, she's a muddy honey. Honey? Can't say that. It's tongue twister. But after that, that was the best part. Then, this is the best part. A week later, guess what they started learning about in school? What? No? No? Nailed it. Nailed it. They started learning about perming. Well, she's like, my hair's really fine, and I do a lot. I want some wave in my hair. Now, I want you to picture all this happening in your hair right now, okay? Because you were like this. I love it. Well, we'll have to talk later. I want to hear the story. So they start learning about perming. She gets a perm. She's the guinea pig. Well, guess what the hair looks like? Horrible. Like terrifyingly horrible, right? So how do you make curly hair that you don't like straight? She's telling us, and I just look at Michael, and Michael's like, I wish I had recorded this. Like, he's like, I wish I had my phone out and was recording this. Y'all, kinda. That's a relative term. Still on the hair, like it looked like it was placed there, but as you touched it, it fell off. Now, the bottom of her hair was about your length. The top part of it was about this short. So she had that like really kick-ass. Remember what is it? David Bowie back in the 70s, like the lightning bolt. Remember the haircut? It was all spiny and it was long. That was her haircut. That's what she had. Well, you know, a chemical version of it. But so how do you correct curly hair that you don't like? Because that was the next week, clearly, in class. Makes perfect sense to me. So her hair was like, I mean, I can't even describe to you the texture of it. Like, we were all touching it in the back room, so we didn't know what the hell to do with her. If you've ever pulled cotton apart, that's what it felt like. It was rotten hair. Literally rotten hair. At one point, I was just like, I don't know whether to cut your hair or to felt you. Do you know what felting is? Like, I felt like we could felt with her hair. So we're in the back room. We've already told this girl she's getting a treatment. Not only that, but you have audience members that are like committed. They want to see what the hell we're going to do with this girl. They're like, I want to see this. I want to see if it works. So the problem is we don't have a choice at this point. So we take her to the back room and we're all panicked. And it was funny because Michael's like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna do with her? Seth and I just took a couple steps back, but you did it. It's all you, buddy. We don't have anything to do with this. I'm not going up with you. So we ultimately decided, you know what, we can't really put a treatment on her because we really don't want to use a hot iron because her hair's not gonna survive it. It's just not. So next best thing is going to be what's the next highest percentage of keratin protein behind the natural keratin smoothing treatment and the express blowout. Next thing is going to be your IntenseRx. And so we did the IntenseRx treatment. We basically softly, very gently shampooed her hair, not with a clarifier. We just used our like good old after color care, just like lightly shampooed her. Excuse me, we dried it with a towel really, really well. And I mean, we put this stuff in there so gently because we were afraid stuff was going to just come right off of her head. We painted it on there, put a cap on her. This is the only thing we put under the dryer, right? We left her under a dryer for 20 minutes. And by dryer, I mean 3 people holding blow dryers on her. That's all we get. So she sits there for 20 minutes with the warm air on her, and then we take her back up to stage. We don't have a choice. We're committed at this point. People are waiting to see what happened to her. So we bring her back over. We added a little bit of our infusion to it. Can anybody answer the question of why we put infusion over the top? Helps heal it, gives it moisture, it gives a nice little moisture balance, okay? If you guys have not tried infusion at corporate, we call this pink crack. This stuff is the most addictive product you'll ever get your hands on. I'm telling you, this stuff is like lotion. I use it for everything.
It smells like summer.
It smells like summer. That's a good way to describe it. Actually, let's pass that around. Y'all are hairdressers. Y'all like to see, touch, and smell. So with this particular product, we added a little bit to this. Now remember, we didn't rinse it out. We took the cap off of her. We brought her back up to stage. We put a little bit of this on top of what she already had. We combed her through. And we had Michael go ahead and start brown brushing her. And I'm telling you, Seth and I were on either side of him like, I'm not involved in this. Like, we didn't want to get involved at all. We were kind of laughing because we were thinking this was going to honestly turn out a little disastrous. I got to tell you, this is the coolest thing, and this is when I realized the power of keratin proteins. This is something that really affected me. He starts blow drying. The very first thing I noticed was there were no hairs coming off in the spotlight. There were absolutely no hairs coming off. In that same spotlight, for him just messing with her hair like this, probably 30 minutes earlier, you were having all sorts of little broken hairs fall off. That was not happening with a blow dryer and a round brush pulling on her scalp. Okay? He had it on medium heat. He blow dried it in, cooling it at every single one. Second thing I realized, and honestly, Seth and I just stopped doing what we were doing. We stopped working on our models and just watched because we were blown away by this. Even Michael was blown away. Michael was doing it like, oh my God, look at this. This is crazy. And it wasn't an act. I promise you that much. We were all completely floored. The other thing that we noticed was that when it was all done, we didn't run a hot iron through it or anything like that. She really wouldn't have been able to stand that. Michael took one of her hairs, plucked it, and went like this. It had elasticity. That blew my mind, and that was the first time that I realized the power of a product like this. There's nothing else like it on the market. This particular product, after one single treatment, made an incredible, incredible difference in this hair that had no hope. Now, was it a pretty color? No. Was it a pretty texture? No. But she had elasticity. Her hair was no longer falling off of her head. To me, that was a huge step up. Another thing I noticed was in the spotlight, with that particular kind of lighting, there was actually areas of her hair where you could actually see shine. Not much, but it was enough. It basically is building a cuticle around the outside a little bit from the inside out to give it a protective layer, okay? So that you're not damaging it as much with your blow dryers and all that kind of stuff. It's really an amazing, amazing product. It's something that kind of like moved me. That girl was so freaking cute. She starts crying on stage when she felt her hair. So we just gave her the bottle. We were like, go home and use the hell out of this. So